Welcome to the Big Woods Bucks podcast. I'm your host, Hal Blood. Sitting here today with my co-host, Good Lee Shands.
Good evening.
All right, look alive, Lee, look alive.
I got my second win now. I'm good.
All right. And today we've got my good buddy Paul Laney from Grand Lake Stream. Big master fishing guide down there. World-renowned cat hunter. And every other kind of thing you want to go for, he's on it.
He's pretty good at catching beavers too.
Yeah, that's right. He's good at beavers. He'll fill a truckload of beavers every day in the spring there. So,
some years, not every year, but
anyways, welcome, Paul. Good to have you on.
yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Alrighty. So, anyways, you're right into the thick of your season right now, the spring fishing.
Yeah, no, we're right in the heart of the spring fishing and the lodge business and all that, so keeps me very busy. I will say that this time of year.
Yeah, it's good.
Pretty much guide 7 days a week right now, and then the lodge is just constant turnover with people, so it's a rat race.
Yeah. Well, at least you're making money, right?
Well, we're trying, that's for sure.
Well, when you're guiding, that's the only thing you can do is try to make money, and if you're lucky, you do make a little, right?
That's right. No, that's how the guiding, you know as well as anybody, that's how the guiding business goes. The lodge actually does better, I guess, in terms of that, but it's what we do and what we love, so we keep doing it.
Yeah, that's right. So, anyways, since you've moved down there, I mean, you've always kind of guided a lot down that area there, and you've shot some pretty good bucks down that way.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some good ones. Do you think the deer hunting is better there than it was 10 years ago?
Oh, 100 times. It's our deer have really come back. I've lived down here 25 years now, and it's by far the best I've seen. But you talk to some of the old timers, and they say it's as good as it's ever been. But our deer, 10 years ago, there was places where there just weren't any deer, and now, out in the big woods and places we never saw them before, there's groups of deer, and now it's really getting good. It's pretty good deer hunting all over now. So.
Yeah, would you attribute that to like up here? It's kind of like it's a combination of we had some fairly good winters, and we've been working on keeping the coyotes in check, right?
That's the key. We down here it's because we don't get the snow you get, so our winters are even. Last winter it was cold, but we never had a lot of snow. But that. Several years of easy winters, and the coyote hunting's really gained a lot of interest down here with they run that coyote contest out of Smith's store there in Springfield, but everybody's got a bait out now, and guys are shooting 5 or 6 here and over bait, and then the dog hunters, and they're shooting. Coyotes are taking a hit everywhere, and that's the big help, I think, honestly, is the constant pressure on the coyotes. You can't get rid of them, but constant pressure certainly helps the situation.
Yeah, it's the same way up here, and if you can patrol them deer yards and keep them out of there, at least you're saving a lot there. And I was telling people that it isn't about a coyote killing a deer every time. It's about when they harass them all winter long in the deer yards, it wears them down. Then some of them, especially the little ones, they just lay down and die. They can't make it, especially up here because we have longer winters. They just run out of steam before the winter's over.
No, that's right. The biologist or whatever might tell you you can't control the coyote numbers, and that's true to a sense. But if you're killing coyotes in a deer yard, then you're helping the deer, one way or another, you're helping them.
Yeah, I don't buy into that. You can't control them, because you can control them, because
that's right.
We've seen it here, by by killing them out of the deer yards and then more move in from the peripheral.
That's right.
Then you're getting those and then more move in, so you're really cleaning out a bigger area than where you're hunting.
That's right.
And then so there's way less females to have more pups, so I don't know how they can possibly think you can't control them. You know, they
No,
have
and
some kind of a harebrained idea that the coyotes somehow know that there's less of them and they're going to have more pups, and that's not even true, because some of them ones in the spring, they might have, the ones that have been bred and they're already, in April, getting into April, we still got snow to hunt in April, and they might have 10 pups in them, but in the time we get into the fall, there's about 2 pups left per female. That's all that's left. They don't make it.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
No.
So,
Certainly a big help for the deer herd overall, that's for sure.
yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear the deer hunting's picked up over there again too, because I know you guys it went down everywhere in the bad winters and stuff, but it started picking up here too, and I think it has everywhere.
Yeah, it seems like it has, but here it's like I said, just I'm seeing deer in places I've never seen deer before. But they just seem to kind of be all over now. They're more prevalent than the moose are down here, that's for sure.
Yeah. So what's changed in the amount of deer being tagged down there now? They must be pretty much tagged in Grand Lake Stream there.
So yeah, we tag here in Grand Lake Stream, and they tag in Princeton. They tagged in Waite, but that store just closed. But so all the little towns are tagging deer, but the numbers are, their highest last year. They were as high as they've been since sometime in the '80s, in all the locations. And there's more tagging stations now too, where they tag deer. So I can't remember what was tagged right here in town last year, but I want to say close to 75, which is, 20 used to be a good year 10 years ago here. So we've really gained a lot here.
Yeah.
I think they said last year the deer kill last year was the highest in like the last 45 years or something. It was up there.
In the buck kill, because back years ago you could shoot either sex, so it was really kind of a skewed number.
Right.
But the buck kill is way up. But I don't know if you knew this, Paul, but over here it went from 200 to 350 in 1 year.
Wow.
We had
That's
350.
impressive.
We had about 350 last year, and we haven't seen that since probably the 80s.
Right? No,
Yeah.
I think like you said, the deer statewide are doing good, it's a great thing. It's brings hunters here and more interest back like it used to be.
Here's a few words from our sponsors. They're all top-notch people. We're glad to have them aboard. Make sure you support them. That's what keeps us going. Being the low-tech guy I am, there's one thing I've learned to embrace with technology, and it's my OnX. I used to carry maps and GPS when it finally came out and stuff, but the OnX has eliminated that because I've got my GPS in my phone now with my OnX app. I can mark everything in that. It's helpful that I can show other people by putting a pin in if I want to send somebody to a place. Being a guide, that's important, I can give them the pin, put it in there as, I text it to them, whatever. So if you want to get your OnX, get your Big Woods Bucks code, BWB, and get you 20% off, but I highly recommend it. Give you a little update. Skinner Sights. We all know they're the best site going, but it's a great company because Andy and the crew there are innovative, and they're always thinking up either new models to make a site for, improve the sites, making mounts for scopes, and now they've come on with their own line of scopes and red dots. Whatever Andy does in the company, it's top-notch, first quality, and they stand behind everything, and we're glad to have them as a partner, and we hope you'll try their sites, and you can trust your life with those, and they're going to get you the game. So get your Skinner sites, and you can trust me that you're going to be glad you did. Just wanted to talk a little bit about -33 in the wool they have, which I believe is best wool going, whether it's base layers or your socks or whatever you're wearing. You got to have wool. I've been stressing that for people for years, to wear your wool, whether it's the outerwear or even your base layers and socks. I've been to the tour of the plant, see how they make their socks, and it's quality, the fit is right, and they're going to be long lasting. I've got socks I've had now for several years, and they look like I'll have them for several years more before they even think about wearing out. So I trust my life to wool, and you can too. Minus 33. All right, back to the podcast.
I think one of the things that we noticed that the bucks that we killed last year is you take a buck, if it's up this far north, a 2.5-year-old buck, the first couple of weeks will weigh 170, 175 pounds. And most people, if they see a 175-pound 8-point buck, they're going to shoot it. And, you know, the woods is just full of 175-pound 8-point bucks, 2.5-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you notice, was your, over here, the racks were a lot better last fall than you would normally see? Like young deer, there was a lot of yielding deer, 125-pound deer with 6 and 8-point racks, and you'd think they were 2-year-olds by the racks, you know?
Yeah, no, same here, but we've always, over here, that it's always been known for big racks, so they grow big antlers over here. They always have, so we see some pretty impressive sets of antlers over here, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad to see it's over there too, so. Yeah. So, I never fished over that way, but you're fishing mainly for salmon and togue this time of year?
Right, well, so the spring fishing, salmon and lake trout fishing, and then now we're getting, as you get closer to June, we start transitioning to smallmouth bass fishing. That's very popular here, so especially amongst the guys that so it's a busy time of year. June is pretty hectic. That's the most guide days around is in June. A lot of guys guiding. I start, not many of them salmon and lake trout fish. I seem to kind of have that market cornered, I guess, but I think I started April 22nd this year and pretty much been going every day straight ahead. So.
And when you do that all summer, when you transfer into bass?
Yeah, well, I'll fish they do, yes. I'll guide, until the end of June basically, and then I guess I kind of get burned out with the fishing and I want to get back in the woods, so I'll start messing with the bear dogs a little bit then and doing some training come July. But I still guide a few days in July and August, but not as many as I used to guide 100 days a season, just fishing. But I've backed off now to probably 70. Getting older,
Did you have a good bear season last fall, Paul?
Yeah, about average. But best part was I didn't have any dogs get hurt last year, which was to me the best part of the season. So.
Oh, nice.
You didn't have the what now?
No dogs.
Didn't have any dogs get hurt.
Oh,
no vet
no,
bills.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's always a bonus, ain't it?
It is. That can be. That's the worst part of the business. It gets old. Guiding the bear hunters, with the dogs, it's stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
My old friend Tommy Randall, Tommy, he said he says the fragrance is gone from the roses. I agree with him a little bit on that with the bear hunting business.
Yeah. Yeah. So you go from fishing to bear, and then I see you taking
deer season.
Yeah, you do. You do a moose hunt over there, don't you?
I do. Yeah, we take we don't have a lot of permits over here where I am, but we take a few moose hunters every year, and it's actually it's almost becoming like a trophy unit here now. They don't give many permits, but geez, I know of 3 or 4 bulls that were over 60 shot here last year. There's some big bulls here.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of cool that way.
Yeah.
And,
probably because you have
better age class.
Yeah, and there's less moose. You probably really didn't have the tick problems same as like up north, right?
No, I mean we have some for sure. but not to the extent that you've had up north.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But you do with the bulls. They seem to get some age on them here, and
Yeah.
I'm seeing some real nice big bulls the past few years.
Yeah. Hi, Hal here, host of the Big Woods Bucks podcast. We're excited to announce our partnership with the most respected and recognized land company in the Northeast, Christmas and Associates Land Company. Owners Dan and Mark Christmas are two upstate New York natives with deep roots in the Adirondacks and Tug Hill Plateau, as well as two of the most passionate big woods hunters you'll meet. Whether it's newly constructed camp surrounded by state wilderness or family getaway, their team of experienced land guides are the best at matching folks with a perfect land tract at an affordable price. They even provide financing. Christmas Land Guides will provide full land tours using ATVs, snowmobiles, and even snowshoes so that you can scout every acre. Christmas Land and Camp staff also help you construct the camp you've always dreamed of using our in-the-house master builders. For over 35 years, no one in New York State has provided more big buck properties and family hunting camps to hundreds of folks who love the woods than Christmas and Associates Land Company. Dan and Mark and the whole company remain dedicated to wise land conservation and treating everyone they meet like family. Always available 7 days per week unless there's fresh tracking snow. Call 800-229-7843 or visit Land and Camps on Facebook or go to landandcamps.com. I know what I was going to ask you though was back up a little bit. So you got some other guides working for you for fishing and stuff?
I have a few guys. So my lodge is housekeeping cabins, and my guests, a lot of them, they've been coming. I have a huge repeat business, but these guys have been coming for 20, 30, up to 40 years. And, a lot of them bring their own boats, do their own thing. So the guiding, my clients, I keep there. So I'm busy every day guiding. And then, I get some groups of, 6, 8 guys. And then I have other guides that come in and work for me then, that way with the fishing. So.
Yeah.
And they're the same guides that I use bear season, and one of them guides deer hunters for me too. We don't take a lot of deer hunters, but a few of us stay busy with it. So
yeah, well, good you are keeping busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're fishing for the smallmouth, Paul, are you fly fishing for them or what, or spin casting? What are you doing?
Yeah, so we're fishing the spawn here, starting right about now. Most of my clients are fly fishermen, but there's a lot of spin fishermen in the mix too. But most of the guys I deal with now are fly fishermen. I mean, I have one guy that I guide for almost 3 weeks straight, and he's strictly fly fishing. So it's a lot of fun. It's mostly top water stuff with flies. So.
If you guide him for 3 weeks, he must really like it.
It's one of the guys that I went to Cuba with. Yeah, he's he's a great guy. He lives down in Nashville. He's a guide himself, actually. So
nice.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. We do a lot of exploring together.
Yeah.
And when you catch them early, you guys eat them, right? In the early part of the season, you eat the bass.
We don't. We keep some bass, but not many. It's mostly catch and release.
But I mean, some of the guys do those traditional shore lunches with bass, right?
Oh yeah, I mean especially early, like the spring fishing here, the salmon and the lake trout. I'm cooking fish every day, and we do cook some bass, through the season as well.
Are you guiding the bass fishermen out of your Grand Lake boats?
A lot of it, yes. I have that 20-foot Lund Alaskan too, but most of my fishing, guiding the bass fishing is out of the Grand Laker. They're handy. We paddle them all day, paddle the shorelines, and you can sneak around in some pretty good spots with those canoes.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't see her in a Grand Laker with a trolling motor on it. Electric troller.
No, the trolling motor is a paddle.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless it's too windy, then we will cheat and use the power paddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that keeps it traditional anyways, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it is, and they're a great. Those canoes are a great boat. You can do a lot with them. You'd be surprised.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you do some deer hunting, you said, and some guiding, and you get to hunt
Yeah,
any.
so we take. I have my regulars that I guide every year. And then I have another guy, JR, maybe that guides for me too. And same way, we've kind of built up this little thing where we got our own regulars now, and I do a small scale thing. We'll take two or three a week, and but it's a lot of fun. You do a lot of, get into some pretty remote areas, and we kind of do a little bit of everything. We don't get the snow here to track that much, um, but we hunt. I hunt out of a little canoe a lot too, and sneak around and get in some remote places and do some still hunting. And we have tree stands. We do a little of everything.
Yeah,
I think I can remember when you first started posting pictures on Facebook about getting deer in canoes. That was kind of a lost art. People hadn't been doing much of that, but now you hear people talk about it a lot. It's really, I've never done it, but it looks to me like it would be a fun way to hunt.
I kind of regret posting those videos, Lee.
What's that?
I kind of regret posting those videos. It's
Yeah,
some of my spots are not so secret anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, but
you
no,
kill.
it's a great way. I love hunting that way because I can get in remote places where most people don't go, and now I've branched out a little more to find more spots, and I do a lot of exploring places I've never gone before. But you know how those bucks are. They like to get in those places where they're not bothered too. So
Yeah,
we've killed some pretty big bucks that way.
Yeah. There's so much water over there that
Yeah, there is.
it only makes sense to hunt them that way.
That's right. And it depends on the year. Like you get a year like in the high water year, it's not that good because those bogs will be flooded out. But if the water's right, those all those deer they love those swale bogs, and they'll bed in them, and I've actually learned too that they actually love to eat cranberries, which is a pretty neat thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can remember you telling me that years ago when you were first doing that and shooting some nice bucks about how they, like the cranberries.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize it until we cut one open there, and Christ, the cranberries came pouring out of him. The
Yeah,
light bulb went on then.
Yeah.
yeah. Over here in the mountains, they eat the mountain ash berries. It'll be like under an apple tree. It'll be all tracked up when the berries start falling on the ground.
Yep,
Yep, they love mountain ash.
yep. No, they'll adapt to whatever they got there for them.
Oh
That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
You still hunting with your 35 rem most of the time?
No, I've mostly 30-06 now. Um, I I think I was up in Haynesville quite a few years ago, and I missed a buck. He was walking across a skid trail, and he was out there quite a poke. And I shot at him and with that 35 Remington, and he jumped right in the air like I hit him. And I went down there, and I could see where the bullet went right across the top of the snow, basically right through the middle of him. And it was just too far for that gun. So from then, I got a couple 30-06 pumps I hunt with now. I have one with a scope and one with a peep sight, depending on the conditions. But that's pretty much all I use now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you're going from deer straight into your favorites, right?
Yeah, yeah, the bobcats. That's what I love to do. If I could do something 12 months a year, that's what I'd do.
Yep.
I
Yep.
talked with one of your old cat hunters a couple of weeks ago. I hadn't talked with him in years, but somehow he heard through the grapevine that my father had passed away, and Tom Hanrahan lives down in Florida now. And right out of the
Oh
blue,
yeah.
he called me up, and yeah, we talked about you and how he loved hunting cat. He hates it down there in Florida, but his wife likes it down there, and she put up with
Huh.
him living up here for 20 something years. But he shot a lot of cats with you.
He did, yeah. We went on quite a few hunts together. He had quite a couple pretty wild experiences with me, as I remember. It was quite a few years ago now.
Yeah, that was, well, I can tell you, it would have been back when he first started writing for the Northwood Sporting Journal, the first article he wrote was about me, and the second one he wrote was about you. It
Right. So
had to be more than 20 years ago.
yeah, well he was hunting with me back when that Susie dog I had was pretty young. So yeah, that would have been early early 2000s, I guess.
Yeah. And that's back when I think, like, if he hired you for the week, I think he was shooting multiple cats with you, as I remember it.
Yeah, I was foolish back then. I'd let him just bang away all week, and
I
I
think
didn't know any better. But
didn't he shot like five with you one week, I think, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah, I remember one day. I know we one or two different days we got two in a day. But I've changed my ways a little now.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
don't you think there's probably fewer, even over there, there's probably fewer cats, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, back in those days, there was a lot of cats, um, and I was hunting a lot myself back then, and but yeah, there was a lot of cats, and the lynx hadn't moved in here at all yet. So it was just, and even north of here, like up Haynesville and those places, I used to hunt up there, and there was a lot of bobcats. But and like I said, I was shooting them myself, and but you couldn't pay me to shoot one now myself. I just have no interest.
Yeah, you got to save them for the clients.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess as you get older, the I don't have any interest. Like I said, I have no interest in shooting a bobcat. I love chasing them and love, if I had my way, we'd just take pictures of them and let them all run after the dogs catch them. But um, it's just different now for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing how in the last few years, I live just 10 miles out of downtown Skowhegan, and last spring I had a lynx right in my driveway. I mean, they've
Really?
come into our area, yeah.
Yeah. No, a lot of the places I traditionally bobcat hunted over this way, I can go now and there's no chance of finding a bobcat track. It's just all lynx. Um, so
Do you
it's
think? Do you
certainly
think the?
changed.
You think the lynx drive them out, or they? Do you think they just leave because they outcompete them for the rabbits? Or
I think they outcompete them, and if you do get deep snow, the bobcats, um, he doesn't stand a chance to compete with a lynx. As far as catching rabbits, um, I think things we're starting to see the cats now back a little more to the north some, and I think that's related to the deer yards are getting bigger again. Um, but everything's shifted. No, now the cats are just like the deer. They're around the towns. So if you get in where there's a lot of deer around a town somewhere, there's going to be a cat or two there. But that complicates hunting and guiding too. So
Right.
yeah,
yeah,
What's it like over there? Like, you wouldn't be able to run, where I live, you can't run dogs because there's too much posted land. Is there a lot of posted land near town where you live?
it's it's getting worse all the time. Like down on the coast, there's a lot of bobcats all along the coast, but it's getting more limited all the time with posted land. It's just more people moving in from away, and the place this place used to hunt with a little chunk of land. Now all of a sudden it's posted, so you got to be careful where you do turn loose now, so you don't want to cause any problems and end up on posted land. So I try to always get as far away from town and people or whatever as I can when we turn loose. But sometimes you'll put on a cat and the dogs might coat trail him 5 miles, and next thing you know, you're right in behind somebody's house, and that goes back to like we talked about with the coyotes. Everybody having a bait. There's baits all over now, which we never had before too. So
yeah,
it's different type of hunting now than it used to be for sure.
yeah. Well, we all have to adapt, right? The animals do when we do.
That's right. No, and there's still places where I can go and not be bothered, and that's where I try to go hunt, or I don't, especially guiding people. You try to take them into remote places. They enjoy that, and I do too. There's a lot less stress involved if you're not near a main road and cars
Yeah,
and trucks whizzing by or posted signs and all that. So
Well, if I ever see a cat track up here, I'll let you know, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, my God, it has been.
Yeah, it's just, I think that's what happened here. The lynx just, and we don't have the rabbits. You remember what it was like for rabbits up here, 15
Oh,
years ago or more, and it was like that for a long time. And we just don't have a lot of rabbits anymore. You might, once in a while, you might find a little pocket of them with 20, 30 rabbits in it or something, but those pockets are few and far between. There'll always be one or two here and there, but not enough to keep a bobcat interested. They got to be pretty thick for a bobcat to keep interest in a spot.
and I think what happens too with them little pockets, like you're talking about, a lynx, a family of lynx or whatever, move into those pockets, and probably in a month's time they wipe them out, and then they just move on to the next one. So
Yeah.
it's certainly made it hard for bobcats or the rabbits to bounce back.
Yeah. Well, I think those lynx are more likely to travel cross country than a bobcat, to find food.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
they're more adapt to it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think, do you have any dogs now that are close to Susie, or was she a once in a lifetime dog?
She was probably a once in a lifetime dog, but I have this pup now that he goes back to her. It's I've kind of kept that same blood going all along. So this little pup, his name's Chester, and he was 5 months old, 6 months old during cat season. And I think that dog was on 15 caught bobcats last winter. And I mean, just you thought he was 3 or 4 years old. That dog was all business, no pup, and just he was running to catch. And I have very, very high hopes for that dog. I mean, I don't think I'll ever see another one like Susie. And that's the problem. You have a dog like that, and then you kind of compare everything else to it. But he has potential. He could be. I mean, like I said, it's different now because I'm strictly guiding people. So, I'm not out trying to kill every cat in the woods. I don't have any interest in that. But so I'm not going to put up the numbers that Susie would put up for sure. Just guiding people. And I make sure the dogs, I make sure they catch the cat now. They'll either catch it and bay it or tree it. We don't really shoot any ahead of the dogs running with shotguns. We just try to let the dogs catch them before, and it's safer with the clients, and I think you make better dogs that way. But he's got the potential to be just as good as her.
How old is he?
Well, so now he's probably 9 months old.
Yeah.
He'll be ready in December then.
Well, he was ready last January, I can tell you that. He was 5 months old in January, 6 months old in February, so whatever he is now. But he was he was a natural dog, just all hunt and doing, not just me too, and he was running in front and taking the tracks away from the old dogs on occasion, and I saw him actually catch a few cats ahead of the old dogs, so he's quite a dog.
Sounds like it. Hey, what's the story with that buck hanging behind you there? I'm looking at here.
Oh, so there's a story for that one.
What's
So
that?
that buck, oh, let's see. That would have been probably 10 years ago when I shot him. So I was trapping marten and fisher that year, and there's a road here called the Amazon Road. And anyway, I was going up that road tending traps, and this buck came off the bank and it started in the road in front of me. Not this buck. And it was probably the biggest it was the biggest buck I've ever seen in my life. I mean, this thing was, I would say 260 all day long, and had a rack much bigger than this one. And anyway, he saw me, and I was in an old Toyota truck, and he wheeled and went back in the woods, and so I bailed out and hunted him, and I had called my father that night, and I told him about this deer, right? So he came right up, and we hunted up around that area for 3 or 4 days. Well, it was exactly 1 week later. It was like a Tuesday at like 10:30 in the morning, same time in the morning. My dad was standing in the Amazon Road, and that buck walked back across the road in the same spot, but he was like 500 yards from it. And he called me on the radio. He said this deer just walked across the road. He said he looked like a horse. He said he was massive. So anyway, we never got the deer anyway. And actually, I think Neil Pendleton actually ended up wounding that buck because he knew about him as well. Um, so when he shot at that deer, when Neil shot at it, we heard him shoot, and we went to another spot and hunted. And my dad had been in there, I guess, the day before, and he said there was a big buck in this other spot. So we were hunting in there, and I was kind of hunting down this old skid trail, and I saw this buck. I thought it was a moose standing in the trail. It was way down the skid trail, and I could see him like moving around. And then he stepped up in the skid trail in the sun, and I could see the buck. And I said, "My God, that's a big buck!" So I put my peep sight on him, and I just blocked him right out, and I fired. And when I did, he jumped in the air, and his legs were kicking, so I knew I hit him. And I ended up, there was a bunch of blood right there, and then nothing. It took me a while to get on him, and I followed him, and I ended up jumping him 3 or 4 times. It was real crunchy bare ground, up in a bunch of beach, and I ended up at the end was just kind of following tracks in the leaves, and he was headed right down to the lake right on West Grand here, and it was getting close to dark, and I said, well, he's headed for the water. So I went down to the lake and I waited, and he never came out. So I kind of went down the shore, and then I started hunting back in about where I thought I had left him, and sure enough, he jumped up in front of me. He was laying down there only in about 100 yards off the lake, and I finished him. And that was that buck anyway, but he was, I can't remember what he dressed. He was around 220 anyway, dressed, but it was quite a hunt, and it was fun. My dad was part of the whole deal. I left him because I was about a mile and a half from the truck, and I left my coat there, and I got back to the truck well after dark, and then we took my boat the next day and went and got the deer. So it was a great hunt for sure. But
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'd actually heard that story from Neil had told me about that story. I didn't realize that you were involved, but Neil had told me that story. He shot some big racked bucks, and he said that
yeah.
that thing had a wicked set of horns on it.
Oh, that was his father knew about that buck too, because he had seen him or had him on camera or something, because his dad was hunting that same mountain, and I mean, he was there every day religiously. His dad's a sitter, and he had a stand or two in there, and he sat every day hoping for that buck. And like I said, my dad and I were hunting him too, but and they never found him either. He just got a couple drops of blood out of him, and I don't know whatever became of him, but that was, I can still see him coming off that bank. I mean, it was like, wow, just a massive, massive deer.
You mentioned your father, Paul. How's your dad doing?
He's good. He's 84 years old, and he doesn't hunt a lot anymore. Bird hunts a little bit, but he still loves to fish. He fishes for stripers and shad right there in the Kennebec. So he can do it like a mile from the house, and goes down there, and a few of his buddies, and they fish about every day right now this time of year.
That's pretty good when you're 84 to be out there getting it, huh?
I know it, and he still chases guns and all that old stuff. He sent me a picture of an old 3-horse Johnson he bought the other day, and what the hell do you need that for? He doesn't need it, but he's got it anyway.
Yeah, I thought I might bump into him. I've been down to Poulin's pretty regular lately. I picked up a 7600 down there last week, and I usually go down and do the previews, before they have the auction, but I haven't bumped into your dad.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he got that old motor the other day. I don't think it was Poulin's, but it was an auction somewhere.
So, for the listeners there, because a lot of times they're listening to us and we're talking about hunting over here. So I've been trying to get perspectives about how people are hunting in different parts of the state, and because we know the state is varied terrains and varied types of woods all across the north, right? And down east and all of that. And I've only been over there once, remember? You gave me a hot tip on a place when we had snow that year.
Yes.
And we went in there and it was too crusty, but I don't know much about that woods, but I guess it's pretty much a lot more softwood than hardwood.
Yeah, a lot of, I mean, this, if you look on a map, it's all water over here, streams and rivers and ponds. It's just a lot of softwood, a lot of low ground. Everything's pretty flat. I mean, we have a couple little mountains over here, but they might be 700, 800 feet elevation. It's all
Yeah.
pretty flat, low ground. A lot of swamps.
I might have started hunting over there. It gets a little flatter. It's easier walking, right?
Yeah, it it is little thicker.
Yeah, I
You
know.
don't see too far. Most of the big bucks I've shot have been within about 30 yards, so you
Right.
it gets pretty tight.
Yeah. It's all a trade-off. We talked about adapting. You got to adapt to where you're at, right?
It is, I get over where I hunt in New Hampshire some too, in the big mountains and up in them ridges, and it's like you can see far, but so can't the deer. So I feel more at
Yeah.
home in this tight stuff where I can get right on top of them.
Yeah. I just soon creep around where you can see 30, 40 yards, maybe 50 yards in a good opening. That's plenty.
That's right. Yeah, no, and
Yeah.
you know, some of them big ridges are good, but if the deer can see you 200 yards away, then it's pretty tough to shoot them moving up through that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I was telling people the difference. The Adirondacks. Have you ever hunted in the
I
Adirondacks?
haven't, no.
Yeah, you see, it's because they don't log much there, so it's a lot of that old woods. And I mean, some of them open hardwoods seems like you can see 200 yards. Well, so can the deer.
That's right.
And there's a lot of green knobs on the top and stuff. And that's where they go. And they go up there and they watch down there from see you coming for a couple hundred yards. And they tend to run a lot further when you first jump them
Right.
instead of just going off a little bit and waiting. They tend to run a long ways and get through the hardwoods and get into something else.
Yeah, that's the same thing I found in New Hampshire hunting over there. Those some of them big ridges and them mountains, those bucks will they put some miles on once you get them on their feet before they, feel safe again and slow up.
Yeah. I think part of that in New Hampshire is they get a lot more hunting pressure there too. They've been, yeah, they've been chased around so much, but you've hunted over here. Most of the big ones probably never been tracked, or not much.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I've found in New Hampshire too. If you gotta just, you know, don't ride around looking for tracks. You gotta just take off and go out across some mountains or somewhere and get away from the roads, and then you'll find them. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they still those deer have crossed the road at one point or two, and they've been chased. I can tell you that.
yeah, yeah. Does many people track down your way when you get snow?
um, there is, there's a lot of good deer hunters down here, so they do, yeah. But we don't get
Right,
snow very often. We end of the season,
right.
muzzleload a week, we'll get a little snow generally, but not every year.
Yeah. Probably if you do get it, it's gone in a day or two anyway, right?
Yeah, I can't remember how many it was. Oh, seems like probably 6 years ago now. We had snow that year. It seemed like almost the whole season we had snow on the ground, but that's pretty rare here.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Do you guys get over there? Do you get 1 week of muzzleloading or two?
One, but zone 18, which is within striking distance of here, you get two. So I have two. Not last year, the year before, I didn't shoot a deer, and I ended up hunting. Well, I hunted up to Brandon's Thanksgiving week, and then muzzleload a week, and then I hunted back here the whole muzzleloader season. I hunted my ass off there and didn't end up shooting one, but I learned a lot. I can tell you that.
Yeah. So, what zone are you in?
I'm in 19.
19.
Yeah,
Okay. So, I thought you were in where you had the 2 weeks of muzzleloader, but the line,
yeah.
that's the
I
line
mean,
between 18,
I have some of
19.
my bear baits are out in 18, so it's not that far from here. It's Oh,
Yeah.
as the crow flies, 30 miles, 25 miles west of here, so I don't have to go far if I do hunt 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I
How
try
many
not to
bait
get to
sites are you
that
running,
point.
Paul?
What's that?
How many bait sites are you running?
Just over 100.
That's plenty.
It's too many. Too many.
Yeah, that's twice as many as we do, and we've got enough. I'm content with 50.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'd
I
like to
got
go back to 50.
I got 12. It's just right.
Yeah, I think when I started, I had high 40s, something like that, but I've just kind of bought a few people out and grown the operation. I was lucky when I got into it, you could still, gain a little ground there, but because that's all gone now, you can't.
Oh yeah. I gained when I there was nobody over here when I started. There was nobody hardly doing any bear baiting, and there was people that had in the past, and those nobody hunted a lot of the country, and I just started asking around the different landowners, and I gathered up quite a bit of territory. I probably had, I don't know, most of 6 townships,
Right?
and I kept things spread out, and I run it where I hunted basically 1 week in each section.
Right?
So every Monday was a new week.
Yeah. No, it's a good way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. So, what did I know you had your guide service before you bought the camp? So what are you calling your place now?
Well, so I still run it as two businesses. So the lodge is called Grand Lake Lodge. Um,
Grand Lake Lodge. Okay.
yeah, it was built, let's see, 1948, I believe it was built. Um, and then so I keep the hunting, the Laney's guide service, I keep it separate, just to keep track of things better, I guess. But I lodged all my bear hunters at Grand Lake Lodge, most of them, for years, and I kind of always had my eye on the place. And then the timing was just right for me and the previous owners to make a move, and like I said, I'd kind of always had my eye on that place, just to one day buy it, and it all worked out. So
Yeah. Yep. So I get it. So if people wanted to get a hold of you to go hunting or fishing, probably if they wanted to go fishing, it'd be get a hold of you at the lodge.
yeah, so it's the website's grandlakelodgemaine.com. But if you just look up Grand Lake Lodge in Maine. There's actually a Grand Lake Lodge in Colorado too. So you look up the one
Oh,
in Maine, you'll find us.
yeah. Yeah. That's good. Well, that's good. I'm sure there's somebody listening that might want to go do some good fishing in the spring or
Yeah, no,
bass fishing.
it's a good
What's that?
setup because I have the spring fishing and all that, and then the summer I get the summer people and they bring the kids up, and we're right on the lake, and we have a beach there, and I have a
Yeah.
boat. I have my own boat landing there, and 6 docks, and rental boats, and canoes, and kayaks, and all that stuff. And then we get into the hunting season, and it kind of turns into hunting camp. So plus the fall salmon fishing comes back, so I get a little mix of everything there. It's a good mix.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good.
We didn't touch on that area. Always used to be famous for, woodcock hunters wanting to hunt with dogs. Are you running dogs during bird season on woodcock?
I I used to, but I get so busy with the bear hunters, and we're taking more moose hunters now, so all that kind of it all ends up overlapping. So I don't. I have some bird hunters that stay at the lodge. So the guys that bring their own dogs and go out hunting, and I do have a few guides. If they book early enough, I can get them set up with a guide. But I don't. I just actually the last bird dog I had, I just sold it the other day to a guy. I just kind of got away from that just because I don't have the time. I can only be so many
Yeah.
places. But we
Yeah,
have
you've learned
great grouse and woodcock hunting here.
you can't do everything. You got to pick your favorites and do those.
That's right. You can only do so much.
If you try to do everything, you can't do things right, you know.
That's right. Things get stretched too thin.
Yeah. Well, looks like you're doing a good job over there.
Yeah, I say, it's one of the, you know how it is. If you're gonna guide for a living, you kind of got to have your hands in everything. So that's way I've always done it.
Yep, that's right. Well, all right. I guess we'll wrap it up on that note. And great having you on. Thanks for taking your time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Appreciating you guys having me on. It's fun talking to you.
Yeah. Well, so once again, support our sponsors and click on our subscription, ring the bell and all that, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. And till next time, good luck on the trail.
Good to see you, Paul.
Seeing you, Lee.